Welcome back to the 1334 podcast. Today I'm joined by Miss Diane Rogers from the Liberty House. Could you tell me a little bit about the Liberty House and what you guys do?
So Liberty House is the state-certified domestic violence program serving 17 Southwest Georgia counties. We're based out of Dougherty County, but we have several surrounding counties that we serve as well. We serve victims of domestic violence. Our mission is to provide services and support or shelter and support to victims of domestic violence and their children. Most people know us for our emergency shelter. So those that are victims of domestic violence and have no safe living alternative, we will house them in our emergency shelter short term. But we have other services as well, helping with temporary protective orders. Any victim that needs a temporary protective order, it's a very intimidating process. So we walk that with them and help them through the temporary protective order process so that they have that and for their protection. We provide domestic violence education. We have counseling for individuals who need to work one-on-one with a counselor. Just any really service that a victim needs, we either provide that service or find a community partner who can also help them with what they need.
So what does I just am not very smart. What does domestic violence actually look like?
So most people think of domestic violence as physical, being hit or struck.
That was my first thought.
Or tagged.
Yeah.
And that is domestic violence. So domestic violence is defined as when one individual in a intimate relationship tries to gain and maintain control of the other. And there are several ways that you can gain and maintain control of an individual, whether it's physical violence, emotional, psychological, financial. So there's multiple ways that someone can be abused. They may never be struck physically, but all financial resources cut off and the abusing partner control everything that person does. That too is domestic violence. So it's when an individual is trying to gain and maintain control of their partner.
Wow. So what does the day-to-day look like for what you guys are actually doing?
Day-to-day, we have an emergency shelter. We have a separate location for administrative office where we serve our outreach clients. But we have a crisis line that's running 24/7. So as we receive calls, our advocate that is trained to provide that service is providing resources or support or telling them how to get enrolled in our programs. Day in, day out in our shelter, it's providing the daily needs of the individuals, making sure that the children are enrolled in school, making sure that the individuals who have interviews, we have transportation set up for their interviews, helping people with the interview process or application process, locating affordable housing and assisting with that, and working with community partners that may have resources for them for long-term housing. It is in and out of the courthouse, temporary protective orders. It's going out to our 17 counties and providing education and prevention programs. One of the things we are really lean heavily towards is, changing domestic violence in future years and future generations means reaching the youth of today. So we have a youth program where we go out and provide what we call a healthy relationship program. It's a 6-week program, which we do free of charge in all 17 of our counties, where we will talk with middle and high school students about healthy relationships at a young age so that they don't end up in a relationship that is controlling.
Yeah. I'm sure it's not all women, but I'm sure there's a lot of women that you do service. So what does that actually look like for someone that's they say, oh, I recognize the situation that I'm in, male or female. How do they get in touch with you guys, and how do they know, what are their next steps?
So really the first step to take is wanting to get out of the relationship. And when you make that decision to get out of the relationship, we have a crisis line, and you call that crisis line, and that's how you initiate services. If you have a loved one that's being abused and you want to call and talk to an advocate, we can talk to you, but it has to be the individual wanting to get out for us to really provide a service. We can't pull somebody out of a home. They have to make that choice to leave. So when they're ready, and one scary statistic is it takes a victim 7 times leaving before they actually really leave.
Wow.
And we definitely never want to shame them for that, because obviously when you're in a marriage or in a long-term relationship and there's children involved, it's more than just leaving. A lot of people say, why didn't she leave? Why did she stay? And it's a more deeper question than that. It's hard to get out of a violent relationship. So when they make that phone call, we will find out exactly what their resources are, how much danger they're in, kind of assess that and see what next step is for that individual. What we do for any caller is based on that individual. There's not a systematic, this is what we're going to do. So if we have somebody that calls and says, hey, I'm ready to leave. He's out of town. He'll be back tomorrow. I need to get away. I need to get out. I'm not safe. We're gonna work to get them in our emergency shelter as quickly as we can.
Cool.
To get them safe. So it just depends on what the individual needs. Not everybody needs to come to our emergency shelter. Some people have family they can stay with, friends they can stay with, or resources where they can stay in a hotel or move, or there's other options. But for some, they don't have other resources, or it's so dangerous that they don't need to go with a family member. So we just work with that individual to decide what's the best approach for them to make that decision. For them, they have to make the decision. We just provide the different avenues that they can take and the different choices that are available.
Yeah. What sort of education pieces are you sharing with the younger generation?
So we have a 6-week healthy relationship program, and that is it starts with really the basics of understanding emotional intelligence, and that's my favorite one. So that's the one I always talked about, because as youth, we don't teach, a lot of the times parents don't teach our kids. We know happy, sad, mad, but we don't know other emotions, why we feel those emotions, why we're acting the way we act. So really developing emotional maturity is the first step for a young child to have healthy relationships. So that's where it starts. And from there it builds just in different things in the curriculum, building and developing that child and opening their eyes to what is right and what is okay. One scary thing is so many young kids, get in relationships in high school, middle school, and they have a boyfriend that, show me your location on an app and I'll make sure you're safe. Well, it's not a boyfriend or girlfriend in high school's role to follow that young child, and that in some situations it's okay, but it can also be seen as controlling. For controlling where that person is or watching where that person is. So it's just opening teenagers' eyes to what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. I know if I have boys, but if I was the mother of a young girl, I wouldn't be real happy with a young man following her every location and questioning where she's at. So that's a big red flag. So we talk about red flags. We talk about what's safe, what's not safe.
Yeah.
And just have really good conversations with the youth. They're real good at asking some challenging questions and presenting situations that we can kind of talk through and look at.
Yeah. What do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions about domestic violence?
One big one is that it's only women that are victims. Men are victims too. That's a big one. And I think more than a misconception, one thing that comes to mind, not necessarily misconception, but one thing that our society tends to do is ask that question, why did she stay? There's been several cases that were national news, and it's the victim that is often blamed.
Yeah.
Why did she stay? Why is she in it? It is never a victim's fault, ever. They're told by their abuser that it's their fault because they didn't do what they were told to do or didn't do it how they were supposed to do it. But it's never a victim's fault. And I think the victim blaming is one of the most difficult things that we deal with as a community, because it's never a victim's fault.
Mm-hmm. How could people get connected with you and the Liberty House, and if you have volunteer opportunities or donation opportunities, how could people start getting connected with you?
So our website is libertyhouseofalbany.com, and we typically have on our website a list of items that we may need that would help us. A lot of the victims that come to us come only with the clothes on their back.
Yeah.
So we provide clothing, shoes, diapers, formula, hygiene items, cleaning items, anything and everything an individual needs. We provide that in our emergency shelter, and we also help our outreach clients with those items if they're struggling financially as well. So, but libertyhouseofalbany.com is that website. You can also, as far as reaching out to us, if it's a victim in need of services, we have a crisis line. You can reach that at 229-439-7065. If you're wanting to help in any way, you can call our administrative office at 439-7094.
Do you have I don't know the right way to put it, I guess, target demographic, like a primary type of person that is coming to you for help?
We do not. So that's actually, we talked about misconceptions earlier. A lot of people think it only happens to people in certain socioeconomic groups or certain social statuses, and domestic violence happens to everyone.
Yeah.
In our community, we have had individuals that are in our low socioeconomic group that come to us for services. And that is probably who we help more, but that's primarily because they don't have the resources that someone who has a good job and financially stable, they're not going to have the same resources. But I mean, we have had people of all professions come to us as victims.
Yeah.
We have had individuals with, master's degrees and doctorate degrees that have needed our services. We have had people from every race that our community holds in our services. There's no specific demographic that this happens to. It can happen to anyone.
Wow. I think it's powerful what you guys are doing. I'm glad to record a podcast together.
Well, thank you for doing this. We appreciate you.
Thank you.